Another successful landing. How are you doing there? Great. I don't know why so many people recently ask me about learning to translate or read ancient Pali. Why? It's going to take you at least 10 years to learn it halfway. Doesn't make you any money. Everybody today is, of course, struggling to pay the bills, so I kind of find it fascinating. I was a total geek and nerd back when I was studying ancient. I'm really good at translating languages. People go, why do you want to learn Pali? You know, it's an ancient dead language. You know what's really fascinating is when you have dreams and you're speaking and talking with someone else that's speaking ancient Brahmi Prakrit Pali. That's kind of strange. And you understand what's being said. That's really strange. Past life regression information. Anyway, talking about original Buddhism. And when I say original Buddhism, I stress the word original. But the term Buddhism itself, of course, didn't exist back then. There was no such thing as India back then either. So when I say Buddhism, I'm being really loose. Not really, I'm talking specifically the pre-sectarian Nikayas, i.e. texts that existed before all that Latter-day stuff. All religions that I have no interest in religions whatsoever, rather metaphysics, and of course religion is secularized metaphysics, yeah? What do I mean by secularized metaphysics? Everybody says, what do you mean by secularized metaphysics? Well, if metaphysics is a real car and someone's driving it, secularized metaphysics is a little kid with one of those little Fisher-Price play cars, like they sit in the seat next to mommy or daddy, and they turn a little plastic wheel, and you know, they get the idea that they're driving. That would be what secularized metaphysics is. Pretty good analogy. Thank you for that one. Pretty good. You're welcome. So I'm not interested in all the Latter-day stuff, but it's pure analogy. The religions that actually came after Christianity, like Catholicism is not original to Christianity, and all other, I was about to say another religion that I will leave unnamed, or they tacked another book on the end. All religions are famous for this. You guys have the original article, and then you have these latter sectarian divisive creations where they tack new texts on top of the old stuff, and they create their own little dogmatic circle. Not interested in that stuff at all, but the pre-sectarian Nikayas, which actually predate all Latter-day sects like the Sarvastivadins, which became the Theravadins, all those yellow-robed guys in Southeast Asia, Laos, Burma, Thailand, Sri Lanka, Ceylon, Northeast India. Those yellow-robed guys are called Theravadins. They used to be called Sarvastivadins, and I don't care what they believe in, but they follow something completely different. It's called Abhidhamma. It's not part of original Buddhism, i.e. the pre-sectarian teachings. And so I'd like to talk about that briefly, because I've had a lot of people ask me about, well, I love it when you talk about original Buddhism. There's not many books out there that are actually on, believe it or not. You could find thousands of books that get into really hardcore original Christianity. Don't care about Protestantism, don't care about Catholicism. They really, they're talking about Aramaic, and they really get right to the core. You know how many books are like that on original Buddhism? Very, very few. I can count them on two hands. Really, I could basically count them on one hand. I used to be a member of the Polytech Society, located in England. A person, she's dead now. I have all her books, which are really rare. Thanks to me, I digitized those books. It's called Caroline Augustus Foley Rees Davids. She's a Pali translator. She said the same thing. Brilliant lady. I have an image of her. She's this old, elderly lady with large round glasses. She translated an enormous amount of material from original Buddhism. She said the exact same thing I'm telling you. Women, by the way, make really, really good translators of ancient metaphysics, far so, more so than men do. She said, all this stuff that goes as Buddhism today, that ain't Buddhism. It's just not. It's just not original to the teachings as of what you find in the Nikayas. There's countless thousands of examples of this. I've written many, many, many articles on original Buddhism. And I'll quote Dr. Anandakitish Kumaraswamy. I have the rights to his works as granted to me by his son, Rama P. Kumaraswamy. He used to be a cardiac surgeon and my friend. I talked to him more than a few times. He appreciated what I did and my contributions to bringing awareness to his father's works. His father wrote literally many dozens of books, many dozens, and hundreds of articles. He knew 27 languages. Dr. Anandakitish Kumaraswamy said, Buddhism is most famous today for everything it originally never taught. So everything you actually see, list Buddhism, and guarantee you it's not Buddhism. Literally, like 99%. This notion of selflessness, and I don't mean selflessness in the terms of ego. You got to destroy the ego. Ego is a Western ideation. That concept didn't even exist until quite recently. Yeah, ahamsame. We'll say, well, what about ahamsame? Which kind of means meism. It refers to identity, false identity, with the psychophysical, what Plotinus would call the lower self, i.e. the consubstantial self. But this notion of selflessness, of no soul, or no soulism, as I kind of jokingly call it, completely unoriginal to original Buddhism. Completely. 100%. I can literally say this without sounding too egotistical, even though it's going to sound like it. There's nobody on this earth that knows more about the term anatta or anatman than I do. Nobody. I know all 576 occurrences, all 22 compounds. It is a common via negativa methodology of Vedanta, both Advaita Vedanta and original Buddhism. This is not the soul. That's not the soul. This via negativa, this disubjectification, because you cannot know the higher self or the true self objectively, because it's not an object. It's a subject. So this premise of the methodology of theurgy, or subjective assimilation, is through objective negation. If Buddhism were logical, you say, well, Buddhism logical, you ask any Buddhist. Well, sure it is. Sure it is. Okay, so we can all agree, and they all do agree, including me, that Buddhism teaches this is not the soul, that's not the soul. Yes, 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 we all agree on that. And so, well, if Buddhism were completely logical, and as you presume to tell me that Buddhism teaches that there is, yeah, that's right, there's no soul in Buddhism, then Buddhism, then, by your definition, becomes completely illogical, because you would not say this is not the soul, that's not the soul. You would say there's no soul. You wouldn't say this is, you said there's no soul, period. When asked about the soul, Gautama would not say, well, this is not the soul, that's not the soul, psychophysical is the soul, rupa nata, veda nata, sankara nata, vinyana nata, nama rupa anatate, isa kaya namisata. The body is not the soul. You can't say my soul, because my soul implies possession. Gautama would say, there's no soul! Oh, that's some deep thinking there, but still there's no soul in Buddhism. Like, you're completely illogical. It's completely senseless. Who works? Just ask him this question. Who works for whose own good? If there were no self or no subjective ontological nexus or subject of transcendence, suvimutta chittasanabandham, the thoroughly liberated nous or chitta, you could say spiritus sanctum, I don't care what word you call chitta. Chitta is really the nous. Means nirvana. Nirvana is nivritti. Literally means the undoing of becoming. Vritti means perturbation. Nir means opposite to or back from becoming. Vritti, the ending of becoming. Bhava-nubhava, the cycle of perturbation. Getting off the roller coaster, if you will, because samsara is just a roller coaster. Yeah? Transcendence is getting off the roller coaster. But if you would teach that that nirvana is without subject, then absolutely attaining nirvana, or what is transcendence, subjective transcendence, is impossible. You know, this notion of spiritual suicide, or like flushing yourself down the spiritual void of nihilistic oblivion. It would be far, far better to love the roller coaster of samsara, you know, forever and ever and ever, than to, which is completely impossible, because subject precedes object of negation, to try to engage in spiritual suicide. It's completely impossible. Not only that, it's philosophically untenable. There's not any metaphysics or any religion that has ever spoken logically, laughably, yes, about nihilistic oblivion or flushing yourself spiritually down the way. Completely impossible. So who works for whose own good? This notion of selflessness or no soulism is not found anywhere. Not within the Digha Nikaya, Majjhima Nikaya, Samyutta Nikaya, Anguttara Nikaya, the Khuddaka Nikaya, Udana, Idivutaka, Suranapada, on and on and on and on. Because I am an expert in those texts. Oh, girlfriend, I am. Well, that's egotistical of you. Yeah, it's still accurate. There's not a single, and I've debated thousands and thousands of, literally thousands of people over the decades. I don't do it anymore because It's useless. It's like, how many times can you play tic-tac-toe? But if you get bored, remember that movie War Games where he's playing tic-tac-toe and the computer's like, what's the use of playing this game? You know, the only smart move is not to play. So I'm tired of debating those people because I always won and it's always easy. I always know their answer. There's no such thing as no soulism within original Buddhism. It doesn't exist. It's completely untenable. Not only that, it's non-doctrinal. Also, too, the easy way to have a debate in any metaphysics, if there's text, like, how are we going to have a foundation for discussing or debating what Buddhism is or is not? Wouldn't it be the teachings? Well, yes, that makes sense. Not what your teacher says, your modern-day teacher, because even your modern-day teacher would say, you know, he does not or she does not supersede the teachings themselves. So the point of reference is it found in the teachings of XYZ metaphysics? Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, and we call that sola scriptura. This is something for which, and I love that movie, everybody should watch it. It's about Luther. It's called Luther. It's about the founding of Lutheranism. And he debated all these various, highfalutin fools of said religion of the time, and he would quote doctrine, and he pissed everybody off. They wanted to off him because he was a master of the teachings. Nothing will piss somebody off more than if you know what the hell you're talking about, and you're logical, and you're consistent, and you nail it. That burns people. I mean, it burns their backsides. It upsets people so much. It's like, oh my God, this guy knows exactly what he's talking about, and there's no way I can, his standpoint is airtight, both logic and doctrine and citation. That's why everybody, not everybody, because people love Luther, Martin Luther, well, some people didn't like him, obviously. It's like with me when it comes to Buddhism. But this premise was airtight. It's like, let's stick to the teachings and what they do say, not what latter-day popes and various entities say. Let's go with the teachings. This notion, because once you eliminate out the soul, then you don't have transcendence, you don't have liberation, you don't have a true metaphysics. Without a soul, there's no metaphysics. You can't have a metaphysics, because Buddhism is not a religion. And if you teach that there is no soul, which of course is not original to genuine Buddhism, then you don't even have a metaphysics. What you have is a morality-based do-gooderism. Well, Buddhism is about being kind to my neighbor and petting my dog, blanking my mind out in shikantaza and emptiness. Like, I sit there and I blank my mind out and, it's all the stresses from work just vanish from me. If you want to be like that, then you should just get a lobotomy and be put on a morphine drip and put in an adult diaper, and then it could turn on the Cartoon Network and you could watch that and you could drool on yourself. Or you'll be so happy, you'll be like the most stress-free person on earth. Cartoon Network, lobotomy, and a morphine drip. Blah, Thorazine drip. Blah. You can sit there and watch Tom and Jerry till the end of your days. You'll be the most low, you'll be like Jell-O. You'd be like deboned chicken. Just, oh my God. It's not about removing stress. It's a liberation ontology based in wisdom and transcendence. But if you deny the soul, then there's no such thing as transcendence. You can't have transcendence without the soul. It's impossible. There is no philosophical logic behind a notion of nirvana, i.e. nisbandhu, or nirvriti, same word, by the way, compound word. Without the soul, it's completely untenable and completely impossible. Once again, suvimutta chittasanabandham. The thoroughly liberated chitta means nirvana. Also to bhava nirodhanabandham. The subjugation of becoming means nirvana. Becoming of what by what? What is in becoming? The ancient Pali for attabhava, or self-becoming, meaning the lower self, was the moon, because the moon moved in phases, waxing moon and waning moon. They called the moon the king of attabhava. Attabhava means self-becoming, but not self in the higher self, but self in the lower self. You don't have a metaphysics without a soul. There's really a fear, it's a subliminal fear of modern-day Buddhists to say, well, Buddhism is different than Hinduism. Buddhism teaches there's no soul. It's just about being good, seeking empty. That's not within the doctrine at all. Let me tell you what, even if you hate me, I don't care. Don't care. I am an absolute consummate expert on the original teachings of Buddhism. Pre-sectarian, and I stress the word original. And Buddhism nowhere within doctrine teaches that. Absolutely. It's like, well, that's your opinion. No, we're not talking about my opinions or beliefs. I'm talking about what it actually says. I've debated these so-called experts for decades. Yeah, these people that propound this stuff. It's like, you're not quoting doctrine, you're quoting like Abhidhamma or your teacher XYZ. Well, that's well and fine. I don't care what you believe, but if we are discussing Buddhism, then we are darn well going to talk about what it does teach. Yeah, only. Yeah. And you say it says this and says that, but it doesn't say that. Your teacher says that, Latter-day Sectarian commentary says that, but the teachings themselves, they don't say that. Oh, that infuriates them. Ooh, how dare you know what the heck you're talking about? How dare you have a sharp head on your shoulders? How dare you have studied Pali for decades and know what the heck is what? How dare you? They don't say that. A couple of them have said that. And I don't care if what you think of what I just said is egotistical. It's fact. If we're interested in what it teaches, you should probably study what it does teach, not what XYZ pop books. If you go to a bookstore and you look in the Buddhism section, all you're going to find is a bunch of blathering, I was about to say, but I'm not going to say it, I was about to say, jabbering devices that are stuck up your backside. Bunch of jabbering devices, yeah, a bunch of fools just writing commentarial blather. Well, Buddhism is about being nice. I could mention a few teachers, because everybody buys those idiotic books, and the cover is always like this delusional guru that like his hands are like these. Oh, he's so peaceful. He's my teacher. I want to say names, but I won't say names. But if you go to Amazon or you go to a bookstore, that's all you're going to find is garbage. It's just nothing but garbage. And I don't mean like a lot of it. I mean it's all garbage. On the topic of Buddhism. If you go to the Christian section of a bookstore, if it's a halfway decent bookstore, you will find, a pile of books that don't care about Catholicism and Protestantism. They only care about the original article, what it did or didn't teach. And Buddhism is very, very unique in this, that it's almost like a vampire. Like vampires avoid garlic and silver or whatever. It is really like, and I've joked about this for decades, that Buddhism is like a vampire that is afraid of the actual teachings. They are like get that holy water away from me. You won't find any books on the topic because of the teachings in the bookstore. It's like the whole subset is afraid. To me, that's humorous. It's actually sad, but I find it humorous. So, if you're interested in me going into some of the details of the aspects of metaphysics of original Buddhism, I'd like to do that. I enjoy discussing it. I find a lot of it very hilarious. Because superficially, what passes as Buddhism is just anybody that has a halfway sharp mind. It's like, well, that's ridiculous. I've had a lot of people tell me, they've told me this exactly. If I'm lying, I'm dying. What they've said to me, some really freaking smart people too. They said to me in basically these words. I looked into Buddhism and it just seemed such a ridiculous, laughable joke. I just thought it was just such an unintelligent pile of hooey. And then I came across what you said and what the articles that you wrote. Like, wow, my God, this stuff is really great. I had no idea that that's what original Buddhism really was. This guy lists book and citation, on and on. I'll quote the passages, give the translation. It's like, wow, what you said, I had no idea original Buddhism was good stuff. It's like, yeah, it is, but it's like a diamond buried at the bottom of a giant fecal mound. Have you ever seen like an elephant leave a giant mound? Not that I'm interested in that stuff, but like an elephant will leave an enormous pile. There's like a little tiny diamond right at the bottom. No one ever sees it. They just see this. Anybody with a halfway sharp mind, it's like, well, that's just a big pile of poo. It's like, well, you're right, but that's not what it actually is. Not the original article. But people can't get to the original article unless they spend decades learning ancient Pali, or they know the very, very, very few books that actually talk about original, genuine Buddhism, like Doctrine of the Buddha by George Grimm, Grimm, or the Pali translations and writings of, and those books are really rare. Thanks to me, I have them digitized, however. Of Caroline Augustus Foley Rees-Davis, CAF Rees-Davis. So, anyway, I hope you like this video. If you'd like more and like me to go deeper into the subject, let me know. Any donation is always greatly, greatly welcome. More than you realize. And Lux Evertas. Thanks for watching. Peace out, Girl Scout.